Oh, I am live. Okay. I'll just check if it works. It's interesting. It never seems to work right away on YouTube as well. Never seems to work right away. Now I have to echo YouTube as well. Okay, it works. Okay, it works. That's good. And I have the sun right in my back. Not good. Someone else is watching, one person. I guess I just say my usual sentence. Hey there, my lovelies, and welcome to my booktube channel, The Sassy Library Fox. My name is V, and today we're doing a vlive about the house in the Cerulean Sea. And so far, I have the sun in my back, which isn't all too good. I think I'll just close that one. Better. So today it seems like it's going to be a monologue. So I'll just start to talk about the book and we'll see if someone else is going to join me for the discussion. I don't know yet. Okay, I just do that to the side. So I finally finished The House in the Cerulean Sea. Oh, yay, I'm not alone. Hi, Sarah. Hi. My weekend was pretty busy, but really nice. I was at my bestie's wedding, which is the reason for my rather low energy level today. I'm already sorry for this low energy level. But yeah, it got pretty late yesterday and we had a lot of fun, but we got home very late. So my energy is kind of low today. How was your weekend, Sarah? You celebrated your birthday. Happy birthday, by the way. You get 2 finger hearts from me. And since nobody is watching, I might as well just do this and sing happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Sarah. Happy birthday to you. Loud, wrong, and with lots of enthusiasm.
Awesome.
Oh, that's great to hear. I'm sure you celebrated your birthday with your family, and hopefully you got a lot of bookish presents, or at least coupon cards to buy some. Did you read the book, Sarah? I have to ask this because the last time when I was online and discussing the book, almost no one actually read the book. I think we had one person who actually read it. It wasn't a lot. Okay, gotta do this differently. You've read the book last year. That's great. And did you enjoy it? Which kid was your favorite kid? I mean, they are all precious and great. I really would have difficulties to choose just one. They were all very endearing and sweet. I have a soft spot for Chancey. I think you pronounce him Chancey. And Fyodor, though, I loved those two. And Sal, of course, Sal was amazing. But Fyodor, I don't know, something about Fyodor was so endearing. I really, really just loved him. Oh, hey there, Sabrina. Welcome to the vlive. We were just talking about the characters we like. And oh, Sarah's favorite was Sal. Who was your favorite, Sabrina? I think they were all so cute, and it's really hard to decide just for one kid. I mean, Talia and Lucy, they were all great. It's really, I guess, when it comes down to it, I really loved them all, and don't really have one favorite among them. They were all great. And I guess parents, when they have more kids than one, will tell you the same thing. They will say they love all their children equally. And I think this is a part of the book I really loved because it's actually the same for me as a reader. I love them all. You did a character quiz and you got Sal. Oh, yes, I can imagine you being Sal. Yeah, it fits. It really fits. Tell you what, I did a character quiz too of which character I would be from the house in the Cerulean Sea, and guess who I got. I'm curious. I'm really curious. Who do you think I got? It's really hard to pick a fave, yes. Yes, I totally agree about this. It's really so hard to pick just one because they're all great. And the way they interacted with each other, there was a moment in the book I loved so much. It was such a favorite moment. And I'm going to try to find it. I think I marked it as one of the special moments in the book. And it was, yeah, that was the moment where it said, the others cheered at the sight of him, scooting over to make room. He sat next to Lucy, putting an arm over his shoulders and pulling him close. Lucy laughed and looked up at him, eyes bright. Sal's arm stayed right where it was as they ate. And I just loved that scene so much because, I mean, Lucy saying that Sal is his brother and that the guy scared his brother. Oh, those children, I love them so much. Yes, I loved so much with Lucy too. Lucy was so funny and hilarious because he always tries to be so intimidating and to scare everyone around him, but in the end he is so soft and sweet. He has a particular brand of humor, I think, and apparently Talia shared that with him. They were hilarious together when Linus went to the store with them, to the garden store. It was so funny. Those two kids and Linus, between those two, it was hilarious. It was so hilarious. Yeah. Lucy or Talia? No, no. It was neither of them. It was really funny. I'm going to tell you. I actually, because they included not only the children but also the adults of the book. And the funny thing is, I actually got Linus Baker, which was really interesting because he is such a. I had the impression that he's a really, really shy person and has troubles to go out and to say what he thinks. And kind I think it was really interesting that I turned out to be Linus, but I think that's mostly because a lot of the questions um, tried to test your morals. And as a person who really always is very, very serious about jobs and work, I think that kind of showed in the test result. I have no other explanation why I got Linus as a character, but I think it's just the hardworking part of me that kind of came out through the quiz. I would have to make a test and see which one of the kids I would be when it's only just the kids. That would be interesting. Garden store turned out so fun, and then the record store bit made me really scared when he couldn't see Lucy after he went through the door. Yes, I had that very same moment, and it's really, as a parent, it's really so scary when you can't see your kid and you have no idea where it is. I was my bestie's wedding yesterday and my kid played with the other kids, and I always tried to keep an eye on her and always tried to follow her movements. And when I didn't see her for just 1 second, I immediately got up and was looking for her. So yeah, as a parent, this is really scary, and it shows how much Linus cares for the kids and how close he got to them. Because from the moment he realizes Lucy is locked up in that room with those two men, he tries everything to get to him. So I think that that scene was a really great scene, and it really showed how close he got to the kids, despite his best efforts not to get close to them. They just snuck into his heart, as they do. Oh, okay, the quiz you did only included the children. Yeah, I kind of like that I got him to. I'm not as shy as him. I'm definitely more outgoing, but I could find myself in him in some regards. Oh, yes. Yes, I totally agree. The interactions between those two were amazing. They were so soft. I mean, they had those little tiny moments together where they, I don't know, they just touched each other's hand and looked at each other, but it was so plain to see that both of them really, really liked each other. And they were so, so cute. And speaking of couples, I was really surprised at the ending about Zoe. I didn't see that one coming, but it was great. I really liked it. Yeah, the children were shipping them so hard. It was so obvious. And especially the ending scene when they kissed and the kids cheered from the window. That was so, so lovely. I really love that scene, and I think I have a book hangover after reading The House in the Cerulean Sea. It was such a wholesome and warm and really heartwarming book. And I finished it yesterday, and I think I really have some sort of book hangover. Yes, they really became a family, and I loved it about it. There was that scene when Linus decided to just go for it and kind of talk directly with Arthur, and where he told him that he's their father. And I really adored that moment because it's so true. Everything Arthur did for those children, it's something a father or a mother would do. So they were really such a great family. This is totally the found family trope, 100% the found family trope, and so wholesome. A part of me, when Helen and Zoe met, wondered who. Wouldn't it be funny if they also fell in love? Yeah. I I thought that was an interesting moment, and looking back at it, I think I remember thinking the same. Like they had, it was a very atmospheric scene, even though it was pretty simple. And I think I remember thinking in the same direction, but then I, just like you, I didn't think of it anymore. And at the ending, I was so surprised, and then thought I should have known, kind of. I should have expected something like that, but I didn't. What you thought about the Arthur big secret? Ah, yes, it was interesting. I already thought that it would go in this kind of direction. I kind of anticipated it with all the hints we got during the book, with the charred door to the cellar, and with the fire that sometimes flickered somewhere when Arthur was around or suddenly appeared. I kind of expected to go in this direction, but it was really nice to see it played out in the end, and to really find out about him through the book. I also loved that the children all knew and they all didn't care about it. They just accepted him as he was, like everyone, or like Arthur and Linus did with them. Really? You didn't see it coming? Really? Oh, that sounds like a roller coaster. I really saw that one coming. I kind of anticipated. I mean, I didn't exactly um, think in the direction of Phoenix. I just spoiled, but well, I guess if you read the book and you're here, then it's no spoiler. So I kind of expected something with fire, definitely an ability with fire, but the outcome and the actual bombshell was something new. And for especially the way it was executed, like shown how it manifests in him, his power, the way his power came to be and how it looked when he used it. That was a surprise. That really was a surprise. Yeah, that's true. That's really true. He he had, I think the interesting thing about the house in the Cerulean Sea is that there doesn't happen a lot. It's one of those books, and now I understand why some people said that it was boring. I had a couple of opinions and reviews where people said they expected kind of more from the story than they initially or than they actually got in the end. But I think it's really a nice and slow book, and it just builds, and it's a story that tells itself. And I really love that you're just along for the journey and for the ride, and you don't have to think about some plot twists or intrigues or imaginations. It's just you're along for the ride, and you just can read it and enjoy it, and it's really wholesome to read. I really liked it about the book. I think it must be the most wholesome book I ever read. But then again, I usually tend to read books with characters that don't have it easy in life, just to say it like that. Heart broke when Linus was looking around the inside of. Yeah, yeah. Mine too. That scene hit really hard because when Arthur started to explain what happened in there, it was really I felt so sorry for Arthur, and especially with the background he has and with the things he has gone through, that he decided to return to the island and to make it a better place for other children. I just it only made me love him even more. He's such an endearing character, alone with his socks and the trousers that never seem to fit. He's just, oh, he's really such a sweet character. Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of disappointed as well, but I knew it would always, or I kind of anticipated that it would go into this direction, because right at the beginning we're smack in the middle of Dikomi and of his job over there. And I kind of anticipated that he would have to return there to make them understand and to show them that the orphanage is worth fighting for and worth to be open for those children. So I kind of expected him to return and then to go back again. But it was really nicely done. And I think the difference to the house in the Cerulean Sea and to his home, or the place he called home his entire life, was very, very pronounced and obvious in those last couple of chapters. I enjoyed the pace because it let me get to know the characters really well. Yes, I totally agree. I enjoyed the pace as well. It was really done so nicely, and you got to know all of them slowly, and it was just really well done. Yeah. The dialogue between the children was amazing. For one, they still, and they did through the entire book, they sounded like actual children, and they fought like actual children, and their dialogues were just hilarious. I loved their dialogues. Their conversations were so much fun to read. So much fun. I think I remember that moment. Um, af- I think Arthur kind of triggered those reactions from Linus quite often, because I remember a lot of scenes where he commented on his socks and shoes, and I think there was a scene when Linus was like he was wearing socks with clouds, and then it said he refused to be charmed by them, but he didn't really succeed. I, I loved it about the relationship. Linus always tried to keep it professional, but something about Arthur just made it impossible not to like him. Ah, yeah, yeah, yes. Now that you mention it, yes, that's very Sound of Music kind of style and the vibe. It kind of gives me that vibe too. Mhm. I think it also reminds me of those movies, those romance movies, when the entire plot is working to that moment when everything collides and collapses. And I don't know, a big secret is revealed, or the characters fight, or I don't know what else. And then there's this short period of where the characters reassess their lives and their life choices, and it suddenly they have some sort of epiphany, and then they return to the other person or try to get back the contact. You know what I mean? Like in those typical love movies. I love the atmosphere of the book. It made me feel like I was in the house with the children. Yeah, I agree. It would be so lovely if you could visit that place. And alone the description of the island, that it was warm and nice, and that it was amazing weather. I think the weather also was a really good indicator of Linus' mood and of the path he had ahead of him, because in the city it always rained and it was gray and it was no fun, and it was totally, I mean, he had his house, which was his safe haven for a long time, but he didn't really go out, and his neighbor was horrible. I really didn't like his neighbor, Mrs. Clapper, or I don't know what her name was. Kapper? I have no idea. But it shows totally the difference. On the island and in the house in the Cerulean Sea, there's always nice weather and you can grow and evolve, and your character gets a chance to evolve and to change. And in the city, it was always raining and very, very sad. So I think that's a huge difference, and you see it while you read it. It was done really well to give the mood. Yeah, I think you could really see that very, very good. And I personally wouldn't want to live at the city. The house in the Cerulean Sea sounded so much nicer and more friendly. I think it's getting dark here. I might turn up the light a little bit so that you can see me. Give me a second. Okay, I think that's nicer. Now you can see me better. Once the sun is away, it's really dark here, and it gets extremely, or not extremely cold. I mean, we still have really warm temperatures here, but the last days, once the sun set and was away, it really started to get down with the temperatures. Yeah, I really, the book, the difference between the island and the city was so pronounced. It was really such a difference, a strong difference. And I kind of I kind of had to say I love the speech Linus gave in the end, and how he kind of, I don't know, told extreme upper management his opinion. And I really disliked extreme upper management because there was that moment when they they sent him a letter, and I think it was his third week or to the fourth week on the island, and he was really so unhappy after reading that letter. And I don't know, yeah, I found it, here it is, where they said, we can admittedly say that we may have underestimated how susceptible you might have been to such attentions from someone like Mr. Parnassus. Seeing as how you're unmarried, we can understand how you might be feeling confused or conflicted. To that end, we want to remind you that Dikomi and extremely upper management are here for you. We care about you. Honestly, such a lie. And also the audacity to, I don't know, talk about his private life and his feelings as a company. Ah, I really, that scene, phew. I feel like I kind of wanted a bit more with Charles Werner. Not exactly sure what, but I felt like the whole thing was built up to something. Yes, I I think the thing with Charles Werner kind of sizzled out. I expected there to be a little bit more as well, or to at least get a little bit more info about his relationship with Arthur and why he left the island. But I think, honestly, I think the fact that we got so little about his relationship with Charles Werner and why he left that island in the end actually says a lot about the person Charles Werner, because by just talking about this on the surface, you also get a really good feel about the person, because Charles Werner definitely was only a very, very hollow person and very on the surface, just focused on his career. And I think that we got so less of him really reflected that and his personality. So I kind of think GJ Kloon did this on purpose, that we didn't get a lot of info about him because he was so, how do you call it? In German, it's oberflächlich, on the surface, a character that doesn't go deep. I don't know the word in English. Oh yes, the camping scene was great. I really enjoyed that one too. It was such a lovely, and their adventures were just great. My favorite scene. Oh God, there were so many favorite scenes, but I really, one scene that really, really, or two scenes that really, really stuck with me, where I really was like, my heart, was one, the scene with Sal when he invited Linus into his room and when they rearranged his table so that he could write outside of the cupboard. That was such a lovely and sweet scene, and my heart melted when I read that one. And another scene that I thought to be really important, and that really it was such a nice and lovely scene. It was just a tiny scene, and I think that's the main thing about the house in the Cerulean Sea. It lives from those tiny little scenes and moments that are actually really big. They are so quiet, and it's, I think normally people would say it's just a normal scene and nothing really happened, but they are so important for the characters themselves. And one of those scenes was with Theodore when he showed Linus his hoard underneath the sofa, and when he gave him that brass button. And it was a gift from him to Linus. And this was such an important scene and moment. I really loved that one. Exactly. I was like, how dare they to assume that he is falling for him just because he is single as well. I mean, what the hell? But honestly, this was definitely and totally Charles Werner. I'm sure that came from him. Yeah, I'm glad you agree with me. But he's really such a surface character. I don't know how else to call it, but I got the feeling that he was just supposed to be on the surface and to supposed to be this character that has no depth and didn't understand what Arthur was doing with the children on the island. My favorite scene was probably a whole part when they went out on the adventure. Yes, that was such a lovely scene as well, because as we all know, sprites don't invite strangers, or usually don't invite strangers to their homes. And it's such an honor that she invited the kids and Arthur and Linus as well. So that showed a lot about her personality and the trust she had in Linus, and the trust she put into him that he would do the right thing for the kids. We feel Ricky finds the button back with his back was on it. Yeah, yeah. It was, it was such a quiet and gentle moment, but it meant the world. And I think TJ Klune has a talent for scenes like that, because it happens so often in the book, and he really has a way to make those tiny little moments stand out. Thank you, Sarah. Yes, I definitely enjoyed it a lot. It's become one of my favorites. I marked, so I think I will have to put it there. I marked so many quotes in here, so many things that were important or felt important for me, and it will get a special place on my shelf. I really enjoyed it so much. And I honestly can't wait to dive into the next Clune book. And I think that's the right moment to mention that we're going to read The Extraordinaries in August. It was the book most of the people voted for, so I already borrowed it from my library the last time I was there. And this is definitely the book I will read in August. And I hope a couple of people will join once again. We'll see. But since it's got the most votes, I guess it's there will be a couple of people that will join. I'm very optimistic. Yes, that's true. The bite marks are very unique and also very personal. It's like your handprints. And I think for Fyodor, it's some sort of signature. So he gave him a part of him in that sense. Because not only is the hoard one of his or the most precious possession he has, but it is also some extension of who he is. And he actually kind of gave Linus a part of him, if you think along those lines. So that was a really lovely gift, and I could totally understand why Linus was so moved by it. Yes, I love books that melt our heart too. I so rarely read them. I definitely should read more of books like that. um, I think I really loved The House in the Cerulean Sea because it was so different to the books I usually read. I usually read really character driven books with characters that suffer a lot and go through a lot. And this was such a lovely change to the books I usually read. So I totally enjoyed that one. And I was always looking forward to pick it up again and to read the next couple of chapters because of that. Oh, that's great. So you'll come to the discussions. I think a couple of people discussed the book with me, not in here, not in the discussion videos, but via personal message or Instagram or I don't know, all the channels I'm on. And they read the book, but they read The House in the Cerulean Sea, I mean, but they didn't take part in the Clune along, but they still discussed the book with me, and that was so nice. They might have not read it with me, but they really wanted to discuss it with me, so that was lovely. Yeah, Fyodor was so sweet. I really loved Fyodor so much, but they all were great in their own way. I mean, Talia with her spade, I really thought she might go through with those threats one day. Thankfully, she didn't. And oh, Talia had one of those really nice and sweet moments with Linus as well when he came back to the island and she was once again the first person and the first child he saw. And she said she was digging his grave and it would depend entirely on him if she would bury him there or not. it was so it was so typically Talia, and I really loved it about the children. They all had their own voice. They all had their own character traits. And it was really done so well. They were also different and all very lovable. I was surprised at how angry I got sometimes during this feel-good book, like when the terrible woman spat at Talia. Yeah, that's true. I think that was a really fine line TJ Klune walked here, because on the one hand we have this wholesome family and see the friendships, the siblings that stand up for each other, that love each other dearly, that fight for each other. And on the other hand, we have this contrast from the outsiders that don't understand what they are seeing, that are afraid of things they don't know. And TJ Klune managed to combine this so well. I think he did a really great job at making those serious topics appear in the book, but also at showing that if you are a family and if you hold together, if you stand together, that you will overcome all those problems. And he did such a great job at this. And yes, I agree, there were some moments I got very, very mad as well, especially that scene with Lucy in the store. And I think what stood out to me in that scene was that Linus was so angry, but he wasn't angry at Lucy. He was really angry at that guy. I think Martin was his name. I don't remember it. But he was really angry at him for attacking a little child and for threatening him. And Lucy knew exactly. Lucy knew that he was angry because the guy did that to him or wanted to do that to him, and not angry at him for knocking him out. Quite literally. Yeah. That scene, I swear, it was really knowing Talia's character and how she deals with things. It was so on point. It was so totally her to threaten him. And it made me so sad when she turned around and he saw that she had tears in her eyes. Oh, really, seriously, this book, it's quite something. I totally understand why everyone was raving about it, and so many people love this book dearly. I understand it now after reading it. And luckily, I was one of the people that read it and can say that the hype is real and that it's valid. I think I'm gonna look up if I marked something else in here I want to talk about. Yeah, we talked about that scene and that moment. Yeah, one of my really favorite quotes of the book is what Helen said. Helen is really a wise woman, and Zoe is as well. So I'm not surprised those two got along so well. And it what was that scene when Linus said, "It's not my home," Linus admitted quietly. "I live in the city." Helen scoffed. "A home isn't always the house we live in. It's also the people we choose to surround ourselves with. And that is so true. That is so true. It's really, they were each other's home. And even if they wouldn't have lived in the house in the Cerulean Sea and somewhere else, I'm sure it would have still been home for them. Yeah. He's become an author buy or read author for me as well. And I'm really so curious about all his other books. I recently heard that The Extraordinaries has four books in total, I think. So I'm totally looking forward to read all of them. Same goes for Wolf Song. It's also a series, and I can't wait to dive into that one. And he has so many standalones as well. So I think I will read a lot of Clune books in the near future. I wanted to say cool, yes. Yeah, the ending is a little open, that's true. Yeah. I I found that really interesting, and yes, this scene was a little bit open, but it was done on purpose because through the knowledge. that there is going to be another child on this island and that they're adopting the children and that they really want to make a home for them. Clune kind of gave us a view on the future. So we know they will be fine and we know they will be happy. And I really loved that scene when Helen spoke about David. I think David was the name of the new kid. And the first thing Linus asked was, "What's his name?" And then he went off into this monologue where he said, "Well, we have to take care of the climate because maybe it's too hot on the island and we need to make a room for him where it's colder and that he feels welcome and at home." And I love this so much. It was so sweet because it's totally what Linus is. It's totally his character. He really cares about the children, and it showed so well in that scene and that moment. I also kept worrying Helen was going to get voted out or whatever, but I guess there's a majority of the village who are maybe more willing to change their minds. Yes, I think they were already on a good way. I guess it just shows that change needs time. And the ending was certainly open on purpose because I mean, if you're a part of the LGBTQ plus community, you know that change needs time. And it's kind of a parallel to the book because the prejudices all those people in the village have and their stance on the kids and see something, say something. It takes time for people to get used to the idea that children like with special abilities live there and that they are just like any other child, and change just needs time. So TJ Klune just could, or the only way he could do this was by saying there is going to be change, but it will happen slowly. And it's the only realistic way, I think, to go about this theme and topic because prejudices need time to change and to get rid of. The new edition of Did you read Wolfsong already? I haven't read it yet. It was one of the 3 books I gave to vote, but interestingly, it got the least votes. I don't know why. Maybe because it's a particular brand of book and not all too happy, as far as I heard. But I'm very curious about Wolfsong as well. It's definitely one of the Clune books I want to read next, or among the books I want to read next. Oh yes. Oh God, can you imagine Lucy being an adult? Oh my, he would cause havoc. I kind of imagined him. I don't know if you watched the TV show Lucifer, but I kind of imagined him turning out like that when he grows up and gets older. it it would really, I think it would fit. And actually, Talia was already very old in the book, but for a gnome, she was just a little child. And I always wondered, um, I mean, Arthur and Linus are adults and they just have a normal lifespan. I don't know how long a phoenix lives, but Linus is definitely human. So I thought maybe Talia will live way longer than them, and become an adult way later on. So that kind of made me sad to think that Talia will be alone one day, because she's one of the few children that lives really long. I think Fee might be one of the children that will live long as well. So she won't be all too alone, but yeah, that kind of made me sad to think about. I loved watching Lucifer. Yeah. I'm glad I'm not the only one who liked him. But I really can imagine Lucy being like that when he's grown up. Totally can imagine it. Also the humor and everything. The glee of bringing doom. Yeah, you never know. Okay, I think Sarah vanished somewhere along the lines. Yeah, that's true. That's really true. I totally didn't expect them to have those backstories. I mean, I totally expected Sal to have a very heavy backstory, but actually all of them had some sort of shocking backstory. If you think about it, Talia and Fee, yeah, those two really. Whew. Yeah, and Sal's backstory as well, Arthur's background story. They all kind of had a tough life. I mean, I can only just imagine what Lucy went through before he got to them. And especially because Lucy also has those dreams, and it's in his nature somehow, but he's fighting it. So it can't be easy. There was that moment when Lucy said that he sees some things others don't and knows things others don't. And yeah, I think for a 6-year-old to be confronted with themes like that is quite something. No wonder he had nightmares and woke up through them. Okay, Sabrina, I think we're just two or together anymore, and it's been already almost an hour again. So I think we should kind of wrap it up here. We can always write via WhatsApp as well if you want to discuss even more. I'm always game for discussions, and I'm sure I will write you a lot of thoughts about this one as well. It's good that you already read it, so I can talk with you about it. That's great. Okay, so since we are, oops, wrong button. Since we are just together and two, oh wait, I hope you find it. Oh, it was funny. Oh, that's going to be interesting. I didn't expect it to be funny. I thought it would be probably not on this more serious side, but I don't know if it's even more funny than some of the scenes in the house in the house in the Cerulean Sea. That I get it out. Then it's going to be really interesting. Hilarious sounds great. I can't wait to read it then. If it's hilarious, I'm going to love so much. Okay, so Sabrina, I'll wrap it up here. And thank you so much once again for joining this vlive and for keeping the discussion alive. Yeah, we will write each other on WhatsApp. And I think there's nothing left to say except bye, take care, and we will see each other soon or hear from each other soon. Bye.